5 years ago on a quiet highway outside Austin, Texas, my world ended. My wife, Emily,
I'm
was
right
driving
here
home
with
from
you.
visiting her sister when a
We'll get
truck
through
ran a
this
red
together.
light.
I love
I
you.
love you. The doctors did everything they could,
Beautiful evening, isn't
but by
it?
the time
It
I
really
reached the
is. I
hospital,
love this.
Me too.
she was already gone. Me too. I still remember the cold feeling of her hand in mine, the silence in the room, and the unbearable realization that I would have to live the rest of my life without her. Emily wasn't just my wife, she was my best friend. We had built a simple, happy life together in our small home. She loved gardening, cooking Sunday dinners, and calling her younger sister Claire almost every evening. Claire was 10 years younger, still in college trying to figure out her path in life. Emily worried about her constantly. She used to say she acts strong, but she's still just a kid. A week before the accident, Emily had asked me something unusual. We were sitting on the porch watching the sunset. She looked serious, almost nervous. "If anything ever happens to me," she said softly, "promise me you'll look after Claire." I laughed at first, telling her not to talk like that. But she insisted. "She doesn't tell you, but she struggles more than she admits." After Emily died, that conversation replayed in my mind again and again. It felt like her final request, even though she never knew it would be at the funeral. Claire clung to me, crying uncontrollably. She looked so small and lost. In that moment, I didn't just see my sister-in-law. I saw the last living piece of my wife. A month later, I called Claire. She mentioned how hard it was to balance rent, tuition, and part-time work. Without thinking twice, I told her I would send her $500 every month. She resisted at first, saying she didn't want to be a burden. But I insisted. "It's what Emily would have wanted," I said, and so it began. Every month on the first day, I transferred the money. It became a ritual, a quiet promise I kept to a woman I still love deeply. Claire always sent long messages filled with gratitude. She told me about classes, exams, and her small victories. Sometimes she would say, "I hope I'm making Emily proud." Reading those words made the pain a little easier to bear. For me, the money wasn't about financial support, it was about connection. It made me feel like I was still honoring Emily's memory, still protecting someone she cared about. In a strange way, it kept her presence alive in my life. 5 years passed like this. I never missed a payment, not once. At the time, I believed I was simply keeping a promise. I had no idea that one day, that same promise would lead me to question everything I thought I knew for 5 years. My life followed a quiet routine. I worked during the day, came home to an empty house. And on the first of every month, I sent Claire $500. It had become automatic, almost sacred. I never questioned it. In my heart, I believed I was doing the right thing, keeping my promise to Emily. At first, Claire's messages were long and emotional. She told me about late-night study sessions, cheap dinners, and the stress of exams. She shared photos of her small apartment near campus. Mismatched furniture, thin walls, a tiny kitchen. She always ended her messages the same way: "Thank you for helping me. I couldn't do this without you." But about a year ago, something changed. Her texts became shorter, the warmth in her words faded. Instead of long updates, I received simple messages like, "Got it, thanks," when I asked how classes were going. She'd respond hours later with brief answers. I told myself she was just busy. Life moves fast after college. People grow up. Then one evening, while scrolling through social media, I saw something that made my stomach tighten. Claire had posted a photo standing on a balcony overlooking the ocean. The caption read, "New beginnings in Miami, Miami." I zoomed in on the picture. Behind her was a modern high-rise building, the kind with glass walls and infinity pools. She wore a designer dress and sunglasses that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. In another post, she was on a yacht laughing with friends. In another, dining at an upscale restaurant. I sat back in my chair, confused. Maybe she had found a good job. Maybe she had roommates. I tried to reason with myself. But deep down, something felt wrong. For 5 years, she had told me she was struggling. Suddenly, she was living a lifestyle that didn't match that story. The next month, I sent the $500 as usual. When she texted thanks, I decided to ask casually. "Miami looks nice," I wrote. "What kind of job did you find?" There was a long pause before she replied. Oh, just some marketing stuff. Nothing special, nothing special. That apartment didn't look like nothing special. I tried again a few days later. Must be expensive living there. She responded with a laughing emoji. Yeah, it's crazy, no explanation, no details. That's when the doubt truly settled in. I wasn't angry, not yet, I was confused for years. I had trusted her completely, I never asked for proof. Never needed updates about how she used the money. I believed her because she was family. Because Emily had loved her. But now questions filled my mind. Was she still struggling? Did she even need my help anymore? And if she didn't, why hadn't she told me? That night I couldn't sleep, I stared at the ceiling, replaying every conversation we'd had over the past year. The shorter texts, the avoided questions. The sudden move across the country for the first time in 5 years. Sending that money didn't feel like comfort. It felt like something I no longer understood, and deep inside, a quiet voice whispered a thought I wasn't ready to face. What if I've been living in a lie? The doubts wouldn't leave me alone. For weeks I tried to ignore them. I told myself I was overthinking. Claire deserved success, she deserved happiness. But every time I saw a new photo, another beach party, another expensive dinner, another smiling stranger beside her, the uneasy feeling returned. Finally I made a decision. Instead of asking more questions over the phone, I booked a flight to Miami. I didn't tell Claire I was coming. Part of me said it was wrong to show up unannounced. But another part of me needed to see the truth with my own eyes. I told myself it would be a surprise visit. A caring brother-in-law checking in. When I arrived in Miami, the heat hit me instantly. Palm trees lined the streets. And luxury cars passed by like they were ordinary. I pulled up the address from Claire's social media and ordered a ride. As we approached the building, my heart started pounding. It was even more impressive in person. A sleek glass tower overlooking the ocean. A private entrance, a valet stand filled with high-end cars. This wasn't just a nice apartment, it was elite. I stepped out and stood across the street staring up at the balconies. I felt out of place in my simple clothes. I told myself there had to be an explanation. Maybe she had roommates, maybe she was dating someone wealthy. Maybe I was jumping to conclusions. That evening I waited nearby, pretending to check my phone. Around sunset, a black luxury car pulled up to the entrance. My breath caught as Claire stepped out of the passenger seat. She looked different, more confident, more polished. She wore an elegant white dress and heels. She laughed as she spoke to the man who got out of the driver's side. He looked older than her, well-dressed, successful. He placed his hand gently on her back. As they walked toward the building entrance, it wasn't just friendly, they were close. I felt something twist in my chest. Not jealousy, not exactly, it was betrayal. For 5 years, she had told me she was barely managing, and here she was, stepping out of a car that probably cost more than I earned in a year. I didn't approach her that night. Instead, I went back to my hotel room. My mind racing. The next morning, I decided to dig deeper. Public business records are surprisingly easy to access. If you know where to look, I searched her name expecting nothing. But what I found shocked me. Claire wasn't just working some marketing job. She was listed as a co-founder of a tech startup based in Miami. A company that had recently secured major funding. Articles mentioned rapid growth, investment deals, and expansion plans. She wasn't surviving, she was thriving. And she had been for at least 3 years. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. For 3 years she had been financially successful. For 3 years I had continued sending $500 every month. Not because she needed it, but because I believed she did. The question that haunted me wasn't about the money anymore. It was this: why didn't she tell me? The next evening I finally called Claire. My voice was calm but my heart was anything but. "I'm in Miami," I said. There was silence on the other end. Then confusion. "What? Why?" "I saw your apartment," I continued. "I saw the company." "Claire, why didn't you tell me?" "We agreed to meet at a quiet cafe near the beach." When she walked in, she looked nervous. Nothing like the confident woman I had seen stepping out of that luxury car. For a moment neither of us spoke. Finally she whispered, "You weren't supposed to find out like this." Find out what I asked, that you've been successful for years. That you didn't need the money. Tears filled her eyes. I didn't keep taking it because I needed it. Then why? She took a shaky breath. Because you did. I frowned. Not understanding. For 5 years. She said softly that $500 wasn't just money. It was your connection to Emily. Every time you sent it, you sounded alive. Like you still had purpose. I was afraid that if I told you I didn't need help anymore, you'd feel like you were losing her all over again. Her words hit me harder than I expected. I thought I was protecting you. She continued. After she died, you were broken. Supporting me gave you something to hold on to. I didn't want to take that away. I sat back stunned. All this time I thought I was honoring Emily by helping Claire. But Claire believed she was honoring Emily by letting me continue. We were both holding on to her. I said quietly. Claire nodded through tears. I never meant to lie to you. I just didn't know how to stop. The anger I had carried began to fade. In its place was something sadder. The realization that grief had shaped both of our decisions. I don't need to send the money anymore, I said gently. I know. She replied. For the first time in years. The monthly payment didn't feel like a promise I had to keep. It felt like something I could finally release. I didn't lose family that night. I found honesty and maybe at last a little bit of closure.